I think it's fairly safe to say that in the last couple of years, we've all been talking a lot more about mental health. And that's a good thing. And another good thing, well, that's knowing where to turn when you or someone you know is facing a mental health challenge. So, with that in mind, today we're going to learn about L'Éveil Brome-Missisquoi. Hello again, and welcome back to About Townshippers. This is where, on a fairly regular basis, we put the spotlight on the English-speaking communities of Quebec's beautiful Eastern Townships. And in this episode, Tim Wisdom is with us. Now, Tim is the Director General of L'Éveil Brome-Missisquoi, and he stopped by to talk about the variety of mental health support services that his team offers to people that are living with or facing psychological or emotional distress. Here we go. Hey, good afternoon, Tim, and welcome to About Townshippers.
Hi, thank you for having me on. I'm really happy to be here. Look forward to having a good talk.
Well, don't go too quick. You have no idea how this is going to go, right? Hey, Tim, L'Éveil de Brome-Missisquoi offers a real robust list of services, ranging from mental health, academic, and employment support to even help with social integration and even personal development. So, with that in mind, do you guys have a target clientele or a certain type of client or customer?
Absolutely. No, it's a really good question. And I did have to think for a minute, but my answer is quite simple, actually. As soon as you are talking more about the future than you are your past, as soon as the person is starting to feel a little bit better, we're typically, we're not there, we're not biomedical, we're not the hospital. Typically, people will come and see us after they've gotten a diagnosis, they've got their medication, they're starting to feel a bit better, and now it's time to do something. What are we going to do with the rest of your life is the question I'll typically ask during an evaluation. And as soon as they're willing to talk about a project, as soon as they maybe want to go back to school or find work or find volunteer work if working 40 hours isn't realistic, regardless of what trajectory they choose here at L'Éveil, as soon as they're starting to feel good, that's really where we take over from the hospital team or from the therapists at the CLSC. And again, of course, we don't close the door to anyone. If someone comes to us and they need help with something else, we'll make sure they get to the right place. But I would say our typical member is starting to feel better, and that's not to say we don't help people with severe problems. We have people with diagnosis ranging from schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, personality disorder, sometimes even suicidal thoughts, depression and anxiety. But regardless of all that, we do sincerely believe that recovery is possible for everybody. And as soon as they come into my office and tell me they need help and they want to start planning their future, then we go ahead and open a file.
Women, men, and all in between, French, English?
That's an interesting question, and really we get those statistics. We're just finishing our annual report and getting ready for our AGM, and which is the annual general meeting, and I get all those statistics. And for the first time, we were founded in 1995. For the first time in nearly 30 years, there are more men in our services than women, and I think it's really since we've begun talking about mental health at work. I think men, because that's how they sort of see themselves, and this whole self-worth, self-identity comes from that. We've actually have more men in our services than women for the first time. So it's really interesting, and I think that was an objective a few years ago when we did a planification stratégique. Planning our next 5 years, our goal was to get those numbers up, and we've done it. And it's by talking about work, and that gets them through the door. Of course, then you open a big bucket of worms, and we help them with all the other stuff. But yes, I mean, I think the main thing too to never forget with mental health is rich or poor, black or white, French or English, young or old. It really does affect everybody. It really is diverse. And for my team of caseworkers, no day is ever the same as the last, because you have to be ready to help someone. And it's really à la carte, the service. What we will discuss in a file during a meeting with one person is completely different for another. And if it makes that person's future better, then both plans are equally important.
I don't want to put you on the spot here, but what I will anyways. What makes
Absolutely.
L'Éveil unique or different than other services that we may see throughout either throughout Brome-Missisquoi or throughout the townships?
Another very good question. No, I mean, I think people are shocked sometimes to come in and learn that they can get service in their language, and the whole team is bilingual. I'm really proud of that. And it's not like
Yeah.
that everywhere. Again, that's not to talk against my partners. I know there is a what we call the pénurie de main-d'œuvre right now, which is some organizations are really struggling to find qualified caseworkers. People are struggling to find employees. Even at the CLSC, it's tough. But I am full staff. There's no waiting list for my services. We will come to your home and help you, and it's completely bilingual and completely free. So I think that does help us stand out. The other thing would be
Good.
the duration of the follow-up. If you're fortunate enough to get through the waiting list of which is might be up to a year to get a social worker at the CLSC or get a psychologist, typically they'll see you 10 times and that's it. Whereas us, we don't have those constraints. I can see people, if someone comes to L'Éveil and receives our services for 6 weeks, that's great. But if they need more time, I can do that. I mean, there are people who come to L'Éveil. The goal is to work, but they have to go to school first and finish high school and get through it, and maybe start with volunteer work just to get through their social phobia and slowly work their way back up. So some people come here for a few years, and that's fine with me too, as long as the person's progressing. We're here to help. So I think those are a few things that really do help us stand apart. And to conclude on that question, I think it's our whole community values too. Well, I do like to know their diagnosis. We're not biomedical. We're not the hospital. And sometimes I'll start the appointment and ask them what's going well this week instead of what's going wrong. So I think people are sometimes shocked by that question, funnily enough, but we really do try to focus on their future, focus on their strengths, focus on what's positive instead of symptoms, diagnosis, and medication. While we do typically talk a bit about their past at the beginning, we're really focused on the person, what makes their life better, and if it's volunteering 2 days a week at the SPA des Cantons, walking with the dogs and feeding the cats, or if it's working full time as a veterinarian. I mean, those are both great. We're very flexible.
That's a huge feather in the hat of the organization to be
Mhm.
that flexible. Now, you mentioned briefly about the fact that you guys have a full roster right now of employees
Yep.
and so there's no really wait time for you. Would you say users or not patients?
We call them
Um,
members. In French, it's les
Members.
personnes utilisatrices.
That's
We don't
better,
say
yeah.
we don't say clients anymore, because it's as if they're giving us money, and our services are free. So
I
so we
understand.
don't say clients, but yes, our members, and very little wait, which is very rare. And not quite sure, and that might I can't promise it's going to be like that forever,
No,
but typically by prioritizing our things properly and by organizing our agendas, and also once someone's completed their objectives, encouraging them to sort of fly with their own wings and go on and see how they do without us. We are able to keep a good roulement where people come in, they receive our services, and then they go on with their lives. And so far so good. We're five full-time employees, and we've helped around 100 people this year. We've had 100
this year
members.
alone, and it's the year is still pretty young. So
Exactly.
now, so you guys have a full roster of employees, and you talked a bit about there's a real lack of manpower
Hmm.
throughout Quebec and
Hmm.
this part of Canada actually right now. So really quickly, well, we can assume that a lot of that has to do with the pandemic. So how have you guys had to adapt to the pandemic situation?
All of our workshops were adapted to the same what we're doing right now, which is Zoom, which has been magnificent for workshops, even in intervention too. I mean, one-on-one meetings with their caseworker. Often for people that were lucky enough to have internet, of course, we could do it just like this through Zoom. So it was tough to adapt because people weren't looking for work anymore. People weren't in school anymore. But I think we really were able to help. People were having suicidal thoughts. We did have a lot of demands that were very different. People weren't saying, I'm thinking about my future anymore. And I think that was okay because it just wasn't
Yeah.
that time. It was, what do you need help with today? And our partners were great too. And I think we really did communicate with the partners and put out just this sort of wide safety net where I don't care what what your background is, what your need is. I just want to help. What's the problem today? And let me get you to Horizon pour Elle if you're a victim of domestic violence. Let me get you to Entrer chez soi if you need an apartment. Let me get you to the hospital if you're thinking of committing suicide. And we just had to really adapt. and change. But it's been a big success. And coming towards the end of the pandemic now, hopefully, fingers crossed, now there's a big boom of demands, and people are going back to school. People are ready to finally start looking for work. And I just did an evaluation this morning. I had 2 yesterday. I think I have more tomorrow. It's been good. We're maintaining. We're still able to help everybody, but there has been a big boom in demands, and that's it. I mean, I think over the past 12 months, we've helped many people, but we've seen a big uptick lately as people are really sort of ready to get back at it and are just sick of all this stuff and are really thinking, I need to finish my high school. We also offer maintien, emploi, maintien, études, where people who are at risk of losing their job because of mental health issues can contact us too. You don't have to be looking for work, but if it's precarious and you might be at risk of losing your job, go ahead and give me a call or send us a message through the website, and we'll be able to help you protect your employee. We also do prevention, where it's so much easier to stop someone losing their job than to start back at zero. And I would say that there's a big uptick in that too. People who are tired, people who are burned out and are about to lose their employment, who are finally reaching out for help, which is a good sign.
Well, it's really interesting and extremely exciting that people are reaching out and they're knocking
Mm-hmm.
on your door, or giving you a call or sending an
Mm-hmm.
email and looking, actively looking for that help. But there are people that are kind of on the fence, and for a variety of reasons. So what would you say to someone that for whatever reason may be kind of hesitant
Mm-hmm.
to either to reach out to you or to any other organization?
It's a really good question, and I think I do see people, and you sort of get there to evaluate, or they finally come to the office, and when they explain everything they've been going through, it just seems surprising that they haven't reached out for help yet. To the Anglophone community who perhaps don't speak perfect French, or who would rather um, speak about their mental health with an anglophone, I do encourage you to reach out, and I do want to let you know again that we offer services in both languages, and I think sometimes that is part of the resistance to getting help. And sometimes I see anglophones who have waited, thinking, well, it's never going to be available in my language, and I do want to say that's not true. As for the population at large, these taboos about mental health are slowly going away, and I'm in the high schools a lot. We're in the adult campus a lot, as we help students as well who are at risk of dropping out of school, or who are going back. And it is changing. Mental health is not seen as it was even when I was at high school 20 years ago. It was the crazy people and the rest of us, and it's no longer the case. With Bell for the Cause, with all of these other, with people talking about mental health, athletes coming out talking about recovery, actors coming out talking about mental health, I think things are changing. So be a part of the solution, and talk about it. Really reach out. Don't try and hide your mental health problem. It's 1 in 4 Canadians who will be diagnosed with a mental illness over the course of their lives. So that's a lot of people.
That
If
many, 1 in 4.
and that's diagnosed. If you think of people who aren't diagnosed, it might be up to half of us will go through something in our life. It might be a depression, might be a psychosis. It might be a suffering from anxiety, or an eating disorder, or compulsive accumulation. There's so many different problems that I just encourage you to reach out. If you know someone that needs help, offer to come with them. I encourage them to reach out and get help. And that's a big part of it too. If someone wants to come here with a neighbor, with their mom, with their wife, with their son, I mean, of course, that's fine too. So if it's just getting your foot in the door, I would say by any means, come on in. And if you need help at home too, don't forget we offer service all over Brome-Missisquoi. I absolutely will come to your door, whether it's the end of the road in Glen Sutton, or at the end of the Rhin in Ange Gardien. If you live in Brome-Missisquoi and you're 16 ages or older, 16 years old or older, you can get our services. So go ahead and call. We also take demands through Facebook, through the website. So a lot of the young people today, they don't use the phone in the way I do, where you pick up and dial the number. So you can send me an email as well. You can visit Cowansville.com and just click on the Get Help link, and you can write me a message. You can even write to me on Facebook through the L'Éveil de Brome-Missisquoi page, and we'll send someone out to evaluate you. So just don't forget that help is available, and when you're ready, give us a call. We've been here since '95, but all too often the people say, I didn't know you were there. So I thank you, Ed, again for the opportunity to come here and talk about what we offer, because it's just too bad that people don't know we're here to help.
Well, hopefully this will help a wee bit, and it's a service that I've heard a lot about over the last couple of years, and so it's a great opportunity for me to learn more about it, and to meet you. And what we'll do is we usually do, Tim, is we put
Mhm.
the video all the details, the contact information, the emails, and the website.
Wonderful.
In our video description. So once again, Tim Wisdom, you're the Director General of L'Éveil Brome-Missisquoi, really important community resource in mental health, serving all of Brome-Missisquoi. So thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you next time.
No problem. Thanks again, Ed. Have a good afternoon.
Take care. And there you have it. Now, as Tim mentioned during our conversation, if you'd like to get some more details about the various services offered by L'Éveil Brome-Missisquoi, well, you can find them on Facebook, you can visit their website, and you can reach out to them by email. And all that information, of course, is right down here in the video description. And if you'd like to get some more information about the events, the services, and the organizations that exist for English speakers in the Eastern Townships, well, please visit Townshippers Association's Facebook page. And we also have a YouTube channel. And that's, of course, where you can see all the past episodes of About Townshippers. And feel free to subscribe. My name is Ed Humphrey. This is About Townshippers. We'll see you next time.